by the sword, America will fall. Civil war will get you all again. The white power is truly dead. You should try some cohesion instead.
Hello, people. Yeah, I don't really think he's that chin deep in Putin's balls. I think they're chin deep in each other's balls. That's the way it is. How are you? I hope you are well. We should be streaming out to a fair few platforms. Hopefully, we're going out to YouTube. We're going out to Facebook. We're going out to Twitch. We're going out to X. We're going out to Rumble. We're going out to Substack. I'm going out to a few more. I'm sure that it will be slow because it's pretty early, it's 6 o'clock, but I'm going to do more of these shows. I promise you, you will see a lot more of me, especially in person and especially live. And I look forward to having conversations with you all. If you want to get involved in the chat, do so, whichever chat. Hopefully I'll see it. I should actually be able to see all of the comments, and I will add them on screen if you've got any questions at all. And what we're talking about today, of course, is what's happened recently in Venezuela. I mean, a bit shocking. It looks a little bit like fifth generation warfare to me. You definitely got an element that no one really knows what's going on. No one's supposed to know what's going on. There's supposed to be an element of shock and awe about this, and there is an element of shock and awe. It's going to be an interesting time. So we're going to get a perspective from people who are down there in South America, nearby Venezuela. I for those who know me, I lived in Chile for a little bit of time, on and off, and I enjoyed my time down in South America. South America is amazing. One of the things you learn while you're down in South America is that, you know, no one really cares about what's going on in Gringolandia. Gringolandia up there where Europe and American, you know, I was down there when the Ukraine war happened. I started in 2022. I saw it here, and then I went over to South America, and it was like it wasn't happening. It was like nothing. Over here, it was all pervasive. Everything was about it all of the time. Down there, it's like, no one really cares. They feed you. Of course, there's a couple of big news channels that feed you the narrative, but that's all they do. They feed you narrative. And they feed you narrative all of the time. And it's a narrative now which is getting much more thick with misdirection. And this is what we can expect to see now that we're out of the era of kinetic warfare and we're into the era of fifth generation warfare. We're likely to be made to not know where we stand, who we stand by, and who stands with us. We do not know who friends and enemies are, and we've got to get used to understanding how to develop our understanding of the tactics of fifth generation era of warfare, because we will have to respond to it. And I'm really glad to already see that Taffy Pat is, of course, Taffy, for those who don't know, is the name of a Welshman, and I am a Welshman. Now I'm going to go across to an American, and I'm going to pull up Tim Hinchliffe to the screen. Hello, how are you?
Hello, doing well down here in Colombia in non-Gringolandia. Some might call it Narcolandia, but I guess Venezuela kind of took that title for a second there.
You're a naughty person. Now, all the people down there in Latin America are very naughty and need to behave themselves, and they need help, don't they?
Of course, they need Yankee imperialism help, definitely.
Oh God! Oh, that Monroe or Donroe or whatever you want to say. The doctrine is a very good. It seems. Doesn't it just seem like another word for extreme tyranny?
Yeah, tyranny, imperialism, technocracy, take your pick.
Yeah, they all come in the same. They're the same thing in different guises, but they're definitely. So, where are you down in Colombia? For those who don't know, Tim,
I am just an hour or so outside of the city of Medellin in the department of Antioquia, up in the Andes Mountains, in the near the Valle Aburrá. And it's a nice we're kind of in the rainy season right now, so it's all gray and stuff, but relatively warm temperatures, around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, no idea Celsius, because I'm an American.
because yes, it's lovely. It's lovely down there. It is lovely down in South America. I mean, I did go quite far south in South America, so winter got super cold. Super cold. I mean,
yeah, there's one time I passed through the airport in Santiago de Chile, and it was in June, and it was like snowing out there. I almost froze to death in an 8-hour layover there.
It's strange you don't realize Santiago's like halfway down in the middle of the desert, but still suffers from that winter because it's not that far away from the penguins. It's actually not that far. You just got to go across the volcanoes, a little bit of greenery here and there, and you get down there to the volcanoes. How long have you been down in South America then, Tim?
Well, it's going to be in April. It'll be 12 years.
12 years. That is a long time. And you must have seen a lot of changes while you're down there.
Yeah, 3 different presidents. Price of avocados going up and down. the big thing that happens here in the countryside, especially with all the lockdowns that went going on in a few years back, a lot of people moving to the countryside. Lots of development. So my old place I used to live at, it was still in the countryside, but it used to be just nothing but avocado trees in front of me, and then they plowed it all in like one day, put up 15 lots, and they're just a lot of people moving to the countryside.
That's unexpected, isn't it? I suppose this is the thing that you in China they had a lot of people in the countryside, and they forced them into the city, into the big mega cities. Do you think that's what's going to happen? People are going to try and find respite outside the city, only to be eventually forcibly moved to the mega cities.
Well, that's like the history of Colombia to begin with. Yeah, so it used to be all agrarian. Everything was just farmers, And then once industries like textile,
like Ireland, but with lots of feathers.
And so, actually, historically, it's been a lot of people moving into the cities. Yes, so I think the people who were coming out to the countryside are just the rich people from the cities that didn't want to be stuck in traffic and all that kind of stuff and all the congestion. So I think it's more so rich people coming out to the countryside for like their second home or their country homes or whatever, or just making Airbnbs and shit.
Yeah, yeah, and eventually, though, I mean, the people in the countryside are going to be under attack, or just going to become part of the city, really. But
Yeah,
that's
and the way that these cities are sprawl out, they start with one little town, one little pueblo over here, just like boroughs or barrios, little municipalities, and then just keep growing and growing and merging together into one giant city, like so many cities in the world and down here.
yeah. So you've been there for quite a while, and how now you feel safer in Colombia, or I mean, has the past couple of years, has it changed quite considerably?
Like as a local's perspective, or like as a foreigner, I've never, in 12 years, I've never been robbed. I've never been attempted of being robbed. I've seen some crazy shit. I've seen people get shot and dead bodies out in the road and things like that. And almost everybody I know has at least been robbed. But no, especially if you get out of the city, but not too far out, like into where all the rebels and the narcos are and paramilitaries. But it's relatively safe. Just the one weird thing that happened just before Christmas a couple weeks ago was when the ELN paramilitary groups set out a 3-day strike, and they bombed. They put bombs out in the highways. They shut down the roads for a while. They attacked police stations. They burnt down a toll booth somewhere. So like there was 3 days of chaos, pretty much, where the
And it
Colombian
was a
government,
lot of bombs. A lot of bombs.
yeah,
It was something
yeah, a
like
lot of
40 bombs.
yeah, and there's so many different attacks, and it came in waves throughout the country. So mine, like where I'm at, it was hit on the first day, which was a Sunday, where it was like I was actually walking down to catch the bus and go into the town, and my neighbor stops me and says, "No, no, you can't go. There's a paro." I'm like, "What?" Like, no, ALAN, and like yeah, they shut it down, and so yeah, there's no
Yeah.
transportation whatsoever.
The only time I experienced that down in Chile, anything like, because Chile's really, I mean, you don't have so much. It's right on the north by the Bolivian Peruvian border. That's where you've got most of the narco stuff going on. Down in the mid and the south of Chile, you don't really have anything like that going on. It's pretty chilled in Chile. The only time I saw something like that going on was during COVID. You had two of the cities were Mapuche cities, or towns, sorry, not cities, that were across the other side of the volcano from us, were basically burnt down by Mapuche, who were just not happy with the idea of being locked down by their government they don't agree with, and who have been put in charge by people who murdered their ancestors. So they're not very happy people, Mapuche, with the main Chilean population. And that of course, all of those sort of things, they reach a spike during those periods. But I didn't ever find that the Mapuche people ever targeted anybody in a negative way. It was always government infrastructure, government buildings. It was always direct. I think it's a bit different when you're dealing down in narco land. I'm going to bring in Ellen, who's with us. I know I was talking to Ellen the other day about this same thing. You unmute your microphone, Ellen. Remember? And I was talking with you about this yesterday, about how safe it was in Colombia. And what were you telling me?
It's very safe in Bucaramanga. The city it's very safe. But I live in a rooming house. I have my own room and a bathroom, and I share a kitchen and a dining room. And all my housemates are Colombiano, and like people leave their wallets in the kitchen. Like we don't. I don't worry about anything being stolen, really. I walked all through Bucaramanga at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and through like really, really poor barrios, and I've never had any problems. I've never seen anything really. A couple times I've seen the Colombian police, they don't really do much. I mean, most times when something happens, people don't even call the police, like an accident, they just deal with it themselves. They don't even call the police.
Yeah, I suppose the police would more likely come up and say, "Hey, you give us a bribe and we'll still do nothing."
No, they're pretty honest. Actually, the police are pretty honest, but they're of no use. They don't even use their weapons. There's like a channel on Telegram, and it shows like the police going into like a place that's unruly, and like they get pummeled. They don't even pull out their guns or anything. They just get like thrown on the ground, and they end up getting like hurt. And Tim, I remember I saw like a big rock came out and fell on the road. Were you there in Antioquia? Were you there then?
Yeah, were you saying
No.
the big block? The what?
The big rock.
Oh, the big rock. That's in Guatapé, El Peñol de Guatapé. That's like about an hour from me. That huge rock you climb up, yeah, and look over all the
No,
water.
no. The rock that fell on the highway.
Oh no, that's not me. No. No.
There was a big boulder that fell on the highway, and like it was filmed, and you could just see people looking back, and they were running, and it smashed someone's motorcycle to bits.
Ew.
It was huge. And then the next day we had an earthquake.
There's a lot going on down there. Then it's more to worry about than just the Blackhawks coming in, by the sounds of things.
I haven't seen any helicopters. Like the last time I saw a lot of helicopters in Santander was when I first got here, like about 4 years ago, and I was staying in a hotel like downtown, and there were all these people. Like there was free breakfast, and we would sit on the roof, and all of a sudden, all these people were like speaking English, and all these people were like having free breakfast that didn't look like they were from here. And I was listening to my phone and in English, the news, and this one of them walked up to me and said, "What unit are you with?" And I said, "Oh, I don't give out my room number to strangers." But
I don't walk home with strangers at night, I'm afraid. That sounds like a spy line, to be honest. Are the waters rich in summer?
and then like a couple of days later, that was when they overthrew. Well, they did a coup in Peru. I think they were on their way to Peru, and I saw helicopters going over them, but I don't really see any helicopters. We never see helicopters going over like we're Bucaramanga, and I live up like in the top of Bucaramanga.
Yeah. So right. There's already a comment on as a Latin American woman, I confirm the global South doesn't want Anglo-Zionist democracy. We've had enough of the MI6, CIA, Mossad interference, and I think a lot of that. I mean, the Monroe Doctrine itself is kind of a version of that. It's to impose intelligence within Latin America. Of course, I did a lot of work on the Rockefeller programs. That were during a period where during the war, which were targeting Latin American countries to influence them. They sent over all, Bing Crosby and everybody to be like, "I'm dreaming of an American Christmas," and everybody swooned. But in actual fact, they were implanting intelligence infrastructure to stop from Nazi or Soviet intelligence infrastructure being set up. So is it already, what do you think? Let's start off, Tim, first. What do you think about what's going on down in South America? Is the Monroe Doctrine a continuation of increase of intelligence activity and military activity, and will we see more of this?
All the above. Yeah, because I mean, my understanding of Monroe Doctrine was kind of more of like an isolation thing from Europe, and like don't mess with the Americas and stuff. But the Don Roe one's taking a step further, and we're going to be proactive and take over shit. But also leave us alone. But no, it's all the earmarks, the hallmarks of the kind of CIA type of coups that we saw all throughout the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s through South America, where intelligence matters, or but in the interest of the United States, supposedly. But as others have pointed out, which I'm really looking at, and it's just everything's falling into place with technocracy and the old technate. So Hervoy Moritz from Geopolitics and Empire and Derek Gross from the Conscious Resistance have been really going at this, is that it's all part of this giant supercontinent kind of that was dreamed up in the 1930s of Greenland, North America, including Central America, and then the top part of South America as well. And when you look at what's going on um, with Trump with Greenland, with Trump wanting to take back the Panama Canal, the invasion of Venezuela, or not invasion, the abduction of Maduro from Venezuela, invasion, pretty much, yeah, and it's taking the resources there, but it's also part of one huge thing that's down what Simon Bolivar called Gran Colombia, which used to be a grand, big old state consisting of parts of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Ecuador, parts of I believe Peru, maybe a little Chile, I don't know. Um, but just 2 days ago, what was this? A couple days ago, the president here, Gustavo Petro, he on X, I'm looking at it right now. He's got a picture of Gran Colombia, a map of it, and he says, "This is Colombia. This was Bolivar's idea, Simon Bolivar, I propose by a constituent vote of the population that we rebuild it as a confederation of autonomous nations." So he takes a huge chunk of top part of South America and make it like the European Union with federated states. And so, like, the idea looks like from the American perspective is, yeah, go get Venezuela. Okay, now get Colombia, get all these together. We're gonna get Cuba later on, and then Mexico, and then annex Greenland or buy it, whatever, take control of the Panama Canal, and you've got this huge old super state of resources of gold and oil, and you got the oceans, to separate you, and so you're protected from all from the east, the west, like you're set.
Yeah, yeah, and it seems like something that has been mapped out. This is still Kissinger's world forming in front of us. It's still the same world that was mapped out by the Harvard elites in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where the blocks appear. And I suppose you can just say that is how things will form. It's easier to say that while doing it. So, I mean, for them, it's easier to say, oh, that's the way the cookie crumbles, if they're crumbling the cookie that way at that time. And that's the thing. We're being given no alternative apart from everybody. Like, there's two states, it seems like, states of existence in all places of the world at the moment. You're either trying not to be noticed by the tyrannical power next door who wants your country, or you're being noticed by the tyrannical power next door that wants to steal your country. So it's those two states, and the one state is one of nervousness, where they constantly wonder, is this going to be the year where suddenly, the people in Greenland will think, is this the year that they're going to officially call us America? Or the people of Venezuela have been thinking, is this the year that the Americans are going to come in and take Maduro? And it's happened eventually. I mean,
and you see how the excuse of going after him is those 4 charges. What were they?
Yeah.
It was drug trafficking, conspiracy for drug trafficking, and then using machine guns and explosives, and conspiracy to use machine guns and explosives. Those are the only charges. So
that's the CIA.
Well, the indictment doesn't even make sense. I've read through it. It's ridiculous.
This is. We'll definitely get onto this now. I would really. What do you think there's going to be a show trial rather than a trial? I'll start with Ellen. Do you think there's going to be a show trial rather than a trial due to the fact that the evidence is so bad? It's clear that whatever Maduro's accused of is what the Americans have been doing for years anyway. So, I mean, it's not like it's anything different. And he's going to have such protection for being the leader of the country. Surely the legality behind it will see the case fall apart. What do you think?
There's not much focus on his trial. So I really, and it's federal court. So they can't put cameras in federal court. And I mean, he's being held at the same jail that Diddy and anybody with federal charges, even Native Americans are held there because we always get charged federally. But I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Like the Diddy trial, that's like a lot of media, and I just don't think they're going to put the focus on that. They'll have like little things come out that distract you, from that trial, but they're not going to focus on the whole trial. And the indictment is just it's ridiculous. They don't have any evidence. They're using this old guy that that was a general that they turned and as evidence against him. That's all they had because he wasn't trafficking drugs. I mean, the drugs aren't trafficked. There's some drugs that go out of like from Catatumbo, Santander, that go through Venezuela, but not very many. They all go through Tim's area and then up through Ecuador, and then Marco Rubio's buddy Noboa. Daniel Noboa ships them out on his banana ships. Those drugs mostly go to Europe and through the canal. And pretty much the United States has the canal already. They had the canal when they took Panama from Colombia. I mean, that used to be part of Colombia. And if you want to really research the canal in Colombia, look into the Mota families. Stanley Mota. The Mota family owns like 90%, most of Panama. They own like 3 airlines, Copa, Wingo, and I think Avianca. And they all have diplomatic passports, so they own like the air and the land and the sea. So I don't think Trump needs to take the canal back from anybody. It's already that's another part of fifth generational warfare. Is like, who's going to take back the canal, because they already have the canal. It's part of, you know,
I like this.
Yeah.
I like this is an element of fifth generation warfare. Of course, is they're telling you. It's like I've been saying to people in the apps. I'm doing the last of the Pottinger series at the moment. I've been explaining to people about the idea of something about fifth generation warfare is in the Epstein case. They've managed to do something so genius. They've managed to make people want to look at redacted information that the unredacted versions are already in the public domain. That is genius. The case between Virginia Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell from 2015.
Well, Johnny, that happened in the Caribbean too. That case, didn't it?
Yeah, but all it makes no what you've got the what I'm saying is you've got documents that are out there already unredacted, and they've just released the Epstein files, which contains these documents in redacted form, and people go to the redacted versions of the documents. So they go to hypernormalization. Everybody goes to, so that state you're talking about with Panama, where they don't actually need to control Panama. So what's the point of taking it? Well, that's the whole point. They go to a state of hypernormalization, and where that then in people's minds will make them think that they don't own Panama. It's how fifth generation flips the idea, warfare flips the idea of which side people are on. It was like when the Yemeni were being attacked by the Saudis, and they suggested that the Americans come in as a broker for them. It's like, okay, and then when the Yemeni get attacked by the Americans, then they suggested the Saudis come in as a peace broker for them. And so, I mean, it's just no one knows they pretend that they're not on each other's side or they're somehow disconnected, but they're all part of the same. This is the same with the big grey globalist intelligence blob that we see forming all around us. Mossad is the same as the CIA, is the same as the MI6. While people say it's all the Mossad, it's none of that's all the CIA. All of it is actually all of them, and we just got to get used to the fact that they own all the land, they own all the sea, they own all of the air, and we're learning that through people like you who are able to tell us, like in basic form, Panama is already owned by them. That's really important, is understanding the truth on the ground is nearly always different from the representation they give you, which is why I called this stream, really a fifth generation abduction. It was a way to cause for people not to know what's really going on anymore, whether there's such a thing as the presidency. Can I give a thought experiment to you both just for a second before we get back onto other things? Because I want to talk a little bit about different aspects. I mean, I want Ellen to talk about maybe the intelligence aspect of what's going on in Colombia as well at the moment. But I also want to put a thought experiment. Starting with you, Tim. What do you think America would do if Venezuela abducted Donald Trump and started trying him in court?
Wow, I think it would see a full-on invasion. It's like,
and it would be legitimate. acceptable?
We would make the U.S. would make it legitimate. It wouldn't. Yeah, I'm saying we as an American citizen, but no, they don't listen to the International Criminal Court, don't listen to UN, don't listen to anything else. We'd make it legitimate. And I think there would be a huge propaganda push at our side. But I mean, also, U.S. is kind of divided, so there'd be massive protests in the United States from both sides. And no, but I think we would go in and, well, first of all, just like they got Maduro, they do the same for Trump. They go in, they do a complete blackout, shut down electricity, internet communications, do shock and awe kind of things, and just get him out of there. If
It'd be like the invasion of Iraq.
Yeah, well,
to find a guy in a hole.
Yeah, but I mean, if they were Trump, they got Trump. Then if Venezuela had Trump in Venezuela, then I think they would the U.S. would just do the same thing how they got Maduro. It'd be a really quick strike to go in and get him. But then it would justify more things like, oh, now we need to go into Venezuela and give them democracy, like Iraq, and nation build and all that shit. Yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah. Okay. So the same sort of thought experiment going to Ellen, but this is slightly different. What do you think would happen if the Israelis go in and do the same with same thing with Ayatollah Khomeini?
Wow.
Yeah, I know, and I think this sets a precedent, doesn't it?
If they succeeded taking Ayatollah Khomeini,
if Israel came in and managed to, like they've done with Maduro, trick a guard here, pay a guard there, pay a minister here, pay a minister there, and managed to get Ayatollah Khomeini to board a jet or something, thinking he was safe, and it was heading straight to America. What do you think or straight to Israel? Sorry. What do you think the response? Sorry, okay. Israel.
I think they catch hell from like the Yemeni and from all the Shia. I don't know if I also think see what's going on in Iran right now is really interesting. It's they're using from the inside. They're using what would you call it? They're using AI and inside Iran to try to implode it from the inside. I'm trying to look for this use of non-kinetic approach like social engineering and AI to implode a society like what's happening in Iran right now. And I'm sure Israel, I'm sure America and Israel, I'm sure MI6, Mossad, and CIA are all part of that. But I don't know what exactly would happen. I don't know, but I know they would catch hell from all the Shia, like from the Yemeni, but it would be up to and Iran. But it would be up to Iran. Iran would be, because nobody else reacts like Yemeni will not attack anywhere without the permission from like Palestinians or from Iran. And they have amazing drones in Yemen that can hit Tel Aviv. And look at the technology of drones that they have in Iran and the missiles. They almost glassed Tel Aviv last time. I don't know why they stopped, but they came very close to just destroying it. They destroyed and the Israelis hide all their military stuff under the civilians. It's not everything they accuse everybody else of doing, they're doing. So there were more people killed than Israel last time. I think they're afraid to do that. I don't think Israel's going to do that. I think they're going to try to destroy Iran from the inside.
Maybe, but they've been trying to destroy Iran from the inside for a very long time, and I don't think they've necessarily managed to I think there's a change coming now.
Iran is the first country that disconnected Starlink. Did you know that?
Disconnected Starlink, did you say?
Yeah, they disconnected Starlink, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, but Starlink didn't disconnect from them. I mean,
they can't get information from Iran anymore. They disconnected everything from Starlink. Starlink cannot get information from Iran right now.
I tell you.
So Israel and the United States are really angry right now.
Yeah,
That's what
something I find interesting about Iran, I think should probably say about Iranian TV as well, Press TV, because I go on Press TV every now and again. They ask me on, to talk about the Epstein case. And let me just mute your mic there, Ellen. You've unmuted yourself. Yeah, crazy lady. Yeah, go with your mute. You got trigger finger, happy trigger finger. I bet you look like a revolutionary. You do, Alan. Anyway, in Iranian TV, I've been on there a couple of times, and I don't mind going on because they're gonna ask me a load of questions about whatever, and I'm gonna give them an answer. And most of my answers kind of suit them anyway, so they're gonna listen to me and go, "Oh, that's why they have me on," because they think they know what I'm going to say, or they think they got the gist of me. So they had me on about Epstein, and they weren't expecting me to say what I was saying. So much so that they actually posted it and didn't put the video in. And so they posted it, and if you tried to play the video, it said there's an error with this video and you can't play it. But everywhere in the world. And they were basically censoring their own interview of me while releasing the interview of me. So I had a few conversations with them. And what they had done is basically title the piece something along the lines of Epstein Mossad connections, something along those lines. And I was wait, Alan, wait 1 second, Alan. I was saying to them all through the interview, the whole point of the interview, they were putting it as Epstein only Mossad, and the whole point of the interview was Epstein was actually recruited by the CIA, went through CIA programs, and was running the East Coast and choosing democratic leaders and technocratic leaders for the CIA. And they cut out all of that in the title and the thing because they just wanted the same thing that CIA wants people to do, which is only talk about the Mossad as though they're a separate entity controlling the world rather than part of the Western intelligence infrastructure. And so in the world of fifth generation warfare, Iran propagate the same propaganda as the Israelis and Americans do. Go on, Alan.
Well, the Iran culture, they're involved in Iran culture. Iran is involved in that. And so it's Epstein. So if you mention that, they didn't like that.
No, they hated it. Of course they did, because they expect me to say whatever they want me to say, but they never. This is nearly every single. To be perfectly honest, this is American platforms, British platforms. It makes no difference. What they discover is that I'm going to tell them the truth, and the truth is uncomfortable, always uncomfortable. So what's the point of asking someone who tells you uncomfortable truths if you're not willing to accept some uncomfortable truths? And nowadays, in the world of fifth generation warfare, does it really matter? Everybody's going to be saying everything all at the same time, and they're starting to understand that, which means that in actual fact, you can expect there to be more noise from all sides rather than less noise. So it's confusing. What I'm saying is Iran occupies a very confusing place within including within the propaganda sphere, in the media sphere, and their decision to get rid of Starlink is much more likely to be just a outward virtue signaling about how wonderful they are not getting involved in technocratic world, but I would assume they're using Starlink behind the scenes.
Well, Iran is very complicated. That's why I had trouble answering you, because there's a lot going on in Iran. There's all kinds of cultures in Iran. There's all kinds of intelligence. You even have Turkey intelligence in Iran. You know, you've got CIA, you've got Iran intelligence, Mossad. I mean, it's very complicated. It's not a simple country. If like they took Ayatollah, I don't know what would happen. I really don't know, but. Yeah, it's hard to answer that question.
Can I just ask Tim, were you just shooing a gorilla from your front there?
It was embarrassingly, I still have some Christmas lights up, and the neighbor's puppy just came over and started chewing at them.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, to be perfectly honest. I don't mind a neighbor's puppy coming and chewing.
It's.
Oh, you're gorgeous. Hello. Oh, a little tiny one. Oh my lord.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah, the little one was just chewing at it, and
that's
yeah,
beautiful.
and then that's Colombia right
Oh,
now. That's Antioquia. This is where I work from.
lovely. That's the
Yeah.
way to live.
And
That's the
don't
way to
ever
do it.
treat a dog bad in Colombia. Don't ever treat a dog bad because they care more about dogs than they do about people here.
That's
Good,
true.
good. That wasn't the same down in Chile. I gotta say, I seen a few dogs get hit by cars and stuff that just didn't. The dogs crossing over the road and they just purposely don't stop. And I seen some real. There was some bad looking strays, but there was also some bad looking dogs who were owned by people in Chile. So it actually. I have to say, it's one of the sort of markers I have of finding a good place to live is if they treat dogs nice. Really it. So we're not
They
surprised.
definitely let them reproduce out in the countryside.
Yeah. That's what I had some good strays over in Chile.
They come here to defecate, to fornicate, and it's a bit of it's sometimes.
Okay, that's a perfect way to move on to the Zionist population down in South America. That's the perfect link across to them. They come here to defecate. When I was down in South America, I came across a few Zionists here and there that were lingering around down in Chile. One time, I was actually in a lift in a hotel in Santiago. Me and Whitney were there with our child. I had my boy in my arms. He was about 1 at the time, and I had it was during COVID, and I had bought this Nuremberg trial T-shirt, which highlighted certain parts of the Nuremberg Code that meant not experimenting on human beings. So I was standing in a lift in Chile, and these 3 Jews got on the lift. Now, this sounds like the start of a joke. I promise you, it might be a start of a joke. Who knows? I'll see if I can make a joke out of the whole thing. But the three got in, and it was quite a tall hotel we were in, so it was going to be a travel down to the floor. And I said, "Hello, gentlemen," and they said hello. And I don't know if they'd seen that I was wearing a Nuremberg Code T-shirt or anything. I was like, "Where are you gentlemen from?" And it was clear they were from Israel. I'd heard other people who would come across from Israel, and they were Israelis, all lingering around together, having some form of what looked like a Zionist conference. And the one looked at me, and he looked really angry, and he said, "Palestine," he said, when I asked where he was from. And I was taken back by how angry and how he didn't want. I was like, "Oh, okay then, all right then." That was just. And then I was in the restaurant that night, and I got to overhear some of their conversations, and they were down for this. It was basically a Zionist meeting that they have. All the old Zionists get together, and they all have a meal together and talk about how they subjugate the Palestinian people, I suppose, is what they do, and what they're going to be doing down in South America. And I've heard lots of rumors about this. So Tim, do you see much of a Zionist contingent down in Colombia or anything? I take it there's not much around by you.
Nah, zilch. I mean, I've only, apart from Zionism, like I may have seen one Jewish synagogue in the middle of nowhere once when I was driving by, but and never have come across that I know of Israelis. Even when I was living in Medellin, I didn't see them or talk to them. Don't know much about any kind of Zionist influence, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that Gustavo Petro, the president, he loves Palestine and is not a fan of Israel or any of that. You know, but no, I mean, there's a lot of I see a lot of with foreign like Indians actually from India is a lot more. I see more of that than I've ever seen. Yeah, nothing of Zionist influence from my perspective.
Yep. I'm going to go across to Ellen. Ellen, what's your experience down in South America? I know you've got a little bit of knowledge on this as well.
At Bucaramanga, we don't even have one synagogue that I know of in Santander. But I think there are, like, in the drug trade, you know, from Antioquia and going to up to, you know, Ecuador to Buenaventura and like Ecuador and the ports there. I believe that because like like the Escobar and the Blancos, when they leave Colombia, the Medellin cartels, which are not in Medellin, they're in the mountains, they're not in the city of Medellin. They all say they're Jewish. They all moved to Argentina and they were Star of David, and they're probably Sephardic Jews. I think that most of the narcos are Sephardic Jews, but not all of them. But like this thing with the fires in Argentina and Chile, especially Argentina. Argentina is like, if you got rid of the Germans and the Israelis and the Zionists, there would be like nobody in Buenos
Just
Aires.
Italians.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be, and then I'd be chased around again.
Oh, I will say something. I do remember from my writing when I used to write for Columbia Reports, news publication, way back like years ago. That on the coast, I think around Santa Marta, somewhere near there, that there was these hostels that were run by Israelis, and they were just huge drug and sex trafficking rings. So, but that was a scandal like quite a few years back, but I haven't heard anything in recent times though.
And Petro, he never mentions like the word Jew. He'll just talk about the narcos, but he'll talk about like how anything that goes. He'll talk about the drug trade that goes from Caratumbo to Miami, but those are Israelis. Those are Zionists in Miami. Most of them are all Zionists that are running the drug trade. Yeah.
There's a comment. Look up the hotel Fast, established in 1891 and shut down in 1975 in Jerusalem as well. So I'm saying it's going to be useful. Will do. I find it very interesting because, of course, we know that there's reach around the world with many different actors within intelligence, and I just find it very interesting that the Nazis and Zionists seem to like going down that way. Where you go to the places where the Nazis went to hide is usually where you'll find Zionists too, and there's not much difference between them. Same with Ukraine as well. You get a feeling that there was a lot of very strange conversation during one part of the Ukrainian war where Yuval Noah Harari and others were talking about, they were kind of pushing something that was like, oh, we should, if we can cooperate with Nazis to get a greater evil defeated in the world, then maybe we should. That sort of argument was put forward because there was a lot of Nazi-linked Ukrainian forces fighting on the one side. So let's talk about the future. Let's get on to the future. Tim, you go up first. What do you think you're going to be seeing in, first of all, Colombia in the next 5 to 10 years? I know that's quite a big question, the 5 to 10 years thing, because we're going to see big change all around the world. But what do you think you'll see in Colombia, and what do you think you'll see in the region, South America as a whole?
5 years, Jesus, no way. Yeah, I mean, if the Technate thing goes, or and the way it's going, then we're gonna have Gran Colombia. But I'm looking really just into the next few months because Gustavo Petro, he's gonna be gone. We've got elections here in May, and so it depends on who's coming up. So we've got the leftist guy Ivan Cepeda is supposed to be he's the guy that is in Petro's wing, and then we got the centrist Fajardo, who was mayor of Medellin. He didn't do too well on building projects and stuff like that. A lot of misappropriated funds, and then some other right wing guy, I forgot his name. But so in years to come, I mean, Trump's going to be gone. His successor, probably Vance or something, or maybe Gavin Newsom coming into the White House. But in Colombia, no, I think the drugs are going to keep going. The infrastructure, they're going to try to. Infrastructure is going to be bad still. I don't see much change happening. I think things are going the same way they have been for the past 10 years. I don't see much change.
Yeah. I think the change is going to come with what happens within the rest of the world as well. Really, it's just going to be kind of moving forward. And you see the same in South America? Is the only difference going to be that there's going to be a much more proactive and authoritarian version of Monroe Doctrine?
Yeah, it, I really can't tell. I really can't say. I'm not too much on the geopolitics, of the whole thing. I look more at the tech stuff that goes on, and I look what's going around me, what people are saying. I live out in the countryside, and like no one's really talking about any of this stuff. So on the ground here, it's yeah, not much going on.
Yeah, yep, yep, yeah. And what about you, Ellen? What do you see happening in in South America over the next 5 to 10 years?
I kind of agree. I kind of agree with Tim. My friend like Mateo from Antioquia says there's this Colombian saying I can't remember it. It's like something about setting a trap. It's like if you make the law or make the rule, then the trap is set. And it's a famous saying in Colombia, and people don't like to follow like rules here. Like they don't mind rules, like people will tell me we don't mind rules, but when you make us follow them, we won't do it. Like Petro tried the global warming thing here, the climate action, it didn't go over very well, and he tried to make Bogota into a 15-minute city. That didn't work. I mean, even in Bucaramanga, they he tried to like stop license plates from like driving certain license plates certain days to cut down on the CO2. And so people just got their motorcycles out and drove them. Then that didn't work. So then he put barricades up, on the roads and tried to close like certain roads down, like every Sunday. And then people got on their motorcycles and drove on the sidewalks and drove around the barricades. And then, so because that didn't work, then he started these like street concerts. And then that just ended up like costing a lot of money and using as much energy as the traffic. So like that all just they stopped it. So I don't see any changes happening in Colombia. Yeah, the infrastructure is bad, but the Pacto Histórico is Petro's party, and a president can only have a 4-year term in Colombia. So and that's good and it's bad both. I mean, it's good because you can get someone out that's like Uribe, they call him the butcher. And every time somebody's right wing in Colombia, they call him a Uribista. I'm sure Tim knows that. So, and it's like, I don't see much difference between Venezolanos or Colombianos. But like, I have friends, like my friend Maria, every time she sees a crime or a homeless person, she'll say, "Oh, that's a Venezuelano."
Oh, there you go.
No, that's what happens with the United States CIA runs most of the media. That's why Petro is on Twitter all the time, because the media can't be trusted here.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't see much change. We don't even have like those contrails like they have in the United States. We don't have them.
That was something that was really evident to me when I was down in South America. I mean, I live in
why though. I don't know.
In South Wales, we have like the sky in especially in the summer will be crisscrossed full of contrails, and there's been you can follow some of the trackers of some of the planes going backwards and forwards, laying it down. So they're obviously doing a weather modification. Down in South America, I didn't see one bit. I live near an airport, and I didn't see one little bit of it. I didn't see anything going over, and it did confirm to me. You see airplanes passing by all the time, and you never see a trail at all. You know fully well what's going on there. If someone's dumping something on you. I do agree with both of you, but I also do think that there's an unexpected turn of events to come in South America. I think there's something unexpected. I think there'll be. Go on.
That's why I said it's hard to I can't see anything changing right now, but I'm only looking towards the next presidency, because yes, any kind of event can come up like that. With the getting rid of Maduro, like that came in a couple of months. Like there's like first going after the gunboat or the boats, and then all of a sudden you set up the blockade, and then boom, you get them, and then something kind of quick. I mean, there's stuff building up towards these kinds of things. The long game is just going after Venezuela and then Cuba and then I think Mexico and Colombia together, like trying to get all that under American control, kind of, or imperial, or intelligence control and resource control and all that, for to great one step towards another global governance thing, even if it's not right now. Like, oh no, we want to keep all this for ourselves, and we're going to be a strong Americas or whatever. In the future, that's just going to combine to the giant super, EU, American Union, African Union, all plugged together.
Yeah, agreed. We're heading towards globalism. We all know what it looks like. It looks pretty global. Right. Okay. Well, anything you want to add in there, Ellen?
Yeah, I think there's only a couple countries left that aren't participating with empire, and that's Venezuela, Colombia, Yemen, and that's about it.
Yeah. Everything
it's
else
kind of
is
like what when Wesley Clark came out in 2001 or whatever and said we're going to go after Iraq, Syria, Iran, and all those 7 countries. That kind of looks like what's going on now for the Americas.
Definitely, definitely, and they want Brazil trades with America and Israel, so I don't even consider Brazil independent from them. But even if there's like a Pan America, I think they want to run it. I think the empire wants to run it, and they want Colombia and Venezuela. And who knows? I mean, like the Elenos. As soon as Petro said he was going to buy a drone defense system, the bombing stopped.
Yeah, I tell you one story when we just both talking. Then one story that came to mind was when I moved to France in 2004. I think it was 2005. 2005. My mum had been when I was younger. My mum originally she was like washing test tubes in the hospital was her job, but later on she became a traffic warden. Ooh, those traffic wardens! But it was before they were doing clamps and stuff like that. When traffic warden had flowers in their hair, honest governor. And she was a nice one, is what I'm saying. She did when the clamps started coming in, so to lock the wheel clamps started coming in to lock the wheels. That was really nasty, dirty, downright. You had to pay 100 and something quid to get a guy out to take off this lock. But the people in the United Kingdom, they're trained. They're right at the center of the storm of empire, and they're trained to accept any changes or any new rules without question. So these clamps come in, people being clamped all over the place, and people have been, bloody hate these clamps. I keep having to pay to have them taken off and stuff like this. I moved to France, and there was no clamps on any of the cars, and there was no. I did notice a lot of it, and I asked a friend. I said, "Don't you have like wheel clamps over here in France?" And they said, "Oh no! As soon as they started clamping the wheels, people started putting super glue in the lock." That was it. The revolution happened overnight. They couldn't take off the clamps. They kept having to destroy the clamps to remove them because there was super glue in the actual keyhole. And France's revolution against having their wheels clamped was successful. I think it comes down to the fact that minor action is probably the thing that really will see if something succeeds or fails. And are you still having problems with puppies there, Tim?
I'm sorry, I was so distracted. You guys have kept chewing on everything, so I'm sorry. But at least you guys in the UK, you got the Blade Runners cutting down those cameras and stuff. So
yeah.
But it's so
Good
strange
boys.
coming from the French that but really simple solutions. Super glue. Yeah, we call those clamps boots in America. But the boot.
Oh, right. Boots. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
I was going to ask, what are clamps?
Yeah. Boots. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, it's something from earlier we were saying. When I went to Chile, I decided I went up to Santiago at one point, and I had a little bit of time off. Whitney was doing the book tour up in America, so I was up in Santiago in the north of the country for a bit, just looking around and just writing and doing some shows. And I went round and I did some police auditing. I do it in the UK where I go up to record the police, and I thought, well, I may as well try it in Chile. Why not? Go and record the police. I recorded about 14 policemen, and they were in these massive uniforms that almost looked military. They were all completely scared of me. They couldn't even look in my eyes. They were terrified little. They didn't want, you could see that if you needed them in a moment of action, they would be running down the street in their big armor in 2 seconds and not interested in getting involved. They just did not want the hassle, which isn't a surprise at all. So I think that's something that is all across South America. People are chilled, and maybe that's why it's so easy for the US to pick on South America and just come in and just steal Maduro like that. And maybe they could have actually done that 15 years ago. Maybe they could have done that with Hugo Chavez instead of poisoning him.
Like you and Ellen said that the police don't do anything. Yeah, they just sit on their phones all day long, and they're in military.
They don't do anything. They don't even use their guns that they have. They don't use anything, and it's funny to watch them because. And then I go for like months and I don't even see a police here. And people here wouldn't put up with clamps on their cars. They would figure out how to take them off, and that would be that. There's just not enough police to put them on cars too.
But there was one time that they were actually kind of motivated police against me, and this was during Duque's presidency, the last president. And it's so stupid how this happened. So I was driving in this town called San Rafael. I got lost, so I went to like this weird cul-de-sac in this little pueblo. And right at this turn, there were 3 cops sitting down at a cafe drinking Coca-Cola. They just all of a sudden just stood up and go, "No, stop, pare, pare." I'm like, why? And then they went and searched through my whole car because there's no Fourth Amendment here. They searched through the car. I had something to smoke for where I was going, and they took it all and then just let me go on my way. That was it. But I mean, the thing is, and that's when they're motivated to action, when they're just sitting there doing nothing and just see some guy lost, some gringo lost, and then so that's why I, apart from Duque doing all the lockdowns, I didn't like that presidency just because they clamped down a little bit more on the weed stuff.
Yeah, that's
did you hear Tim? Did you hear about the arrows in Bogota?
No.
I don't know if you were in Colombia then, but there was they were trying. The natives came like from somewhere, and they all were shooting arrows at the police in Bogota, and the police didn't have any, like, they weren't doing anything back, and they all had arrows stuck in their arms and their legs. There's like videos of it. Yeah, it was really funny.
No.
I'm sure I shouldn't be laughing at people being pierced by arrows. Now what they want is to, we all know those tips are laced with some fantastic psychedelic, hopefully, though, and then there'll be something to gain from the experience. Right, thank you both for joining me. That was a good little rundown of what's going on. Ellen, is there anything you want to tell people? I've linked that the campaign, one of the campaigns that you're supporting, in the comments as well, if people want to support that campaign.
Thank you, Johnny. Can I read my friend's statement? Because he's in Gaza, and it's the only campaign. I'm trying to get him and the little girl he takes care of here to Colombia. She needs medical treatment, and they need bribe money just to get into Egypt, to go from Cairo to Spain to Colombia. So I'm going to read his statement, if that's okay.
Yeah, do it. Go.
It's okay. To the free peoples and the beloved community, assalamu alaikum. I am writing to you today with a heavy heart, but one that is still held together by hope and faith. As you know, the situation here in Gaza has become a trial beyond words. Every day is a struggle for survival, and the sounds of destruction have become a constant shadow over our lives. I am reaching out to you, my brothers and sisters, not just for myself, but for our little girl named Sabrienne, a precious soul and an orphan I have taken into my care. She has already lost so much, and my only prayer is to lead her to a place where she can wake up without fear and sleep without the sound of failing rubble. A path to safety, a kind-hearted, who's talking about me, a kind-hearted sister named Ellen has set up a fundraiser to help us cover the immense costs required to exit Gaza and find safety. We are so close to a new beginning, but we cannot cross this final bridge alone. And then he quotes the prophet, and then he says, I humbly ask you for your support in any way you can manage, whether it is a small donation to the fundraiser or simply sharing our story with others who might be able to help. Your generosity represents the lifeline that that Alamin and Sabrien so desperately need. And please pray that we are reunited with peace and security soon.
Yep.
With gratitude and hope. Alamin and Sabrien.
Excellent. Well, that link, if anybody wants to help out, that link is in the description of YouTube, Rumble, all of those, etc. Tim, do you want to say anything on the way out there?
Let's make America great again.
I had a
Fuentes fan? Are you a Nick Fuentes fan?
it reminded me of my 2020 campaign t-shirt that I had for Cthulhu. No lives matter. That's it. Well, on that note, thank you for all joining us, and we are out of here. Remember, support the work.
Thank you, Donnie, and thank you, Tim, and thank you, everybody.
Excellent. Thank you, Ed. Support the work on NEWSPASTE as well. You can find me on Substack, newspaste.com, of course, YouTube, X, wherever. Stuff will be going up. Less likely to be on X that much nowadays, since I have ex-lawyers threatening to delete my account if I continue to report on what X is allowed to report on, which is a bizarre story that will come out once High Court order is lifted in the next month, and we'll have a conversation about that. Until then, I love you all and leave you all, and good night, people. Excellent.